It certainly has been a tough couple of weeks.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
I mean, look, if you're able to ignore the Middle East and Washington, congratulations, you're getting a night's sleep. If you're not, you're probably losing one, two, or many. I will tell you, as you're watching this on Friday night on Fox and Sunday night on Channel 12, I'm recording on Thursday, preliminary to the president's presentation. We'll talk about that in a second. But it is, I don't even know how to recommend, not that I'm in a position to recommend to you how you digest the news anyway, but I've been kind of recommending things to you for the better part of my career, right? So we've got a relationship that way. I don't even know how to deal with this whole thing on a day in, day out basis. I'm talking about this incredible, unexplainable, unforgivable attack in Israel. I watched a CNN piece last night, it would be Wednesday night, that had me not only in tears, had me unable to sleep for hours on end, thinking about a beautiful 22-year-old young woman who ran into a kibbutz thinking that she could help people, unwitting to what she was going to suffer, which was her inevitable demise, as she's on a cell phone talking to her sisters, screaming to her sisters, wailing to her sisters, and then the line goes out. This thing is incredibly real, incredibly heinous. And if you're going to have an opinion on it, you can't ignore watching those stories. Because if you ignore watching those stories, you can't grasp the attack on humanity that has happened here. Balanced with the strife of the Palestinian people under a regime that is, regime is actually too nice a word. I would recommend that you understand why Israel has to do what it has to do and why the president most likely last night explained from the Oval Office why we support what Israel has got to do, and that is to do its best to rid Gaza of Hamas, a task that will not be easy. We're going to get more and more expertise on this. By the way, it's interesting, the expertise is kind of thin right now because not a lot of folks want to get into this whole thing because it feels touchy, I guess. I'm not sure. Headline here, for conversation's sake, obviously the president went to Israel thinking he was going to have a bunch of connections. Then a hospital blast occurs and everybody rushes to judgment and says, oh, it's Israel. And we are learning through our intelligence and now pretty well convinced that this is a self-inflicted wound by a pro-Palestinian, pro-terrorist arm of Hamas, maybe whatever, shooting out of a cemetery and missing and hitting one of its own hospitals. The Arab world nuts over it, understandably. I wonder how the messaging is going, trying to explain to them, oops, it's actually not Israel. And of course, that's really important, don't you think? That they understand what's going on. But look, let's talk about what's happening on a local level and get local perspective. I think it's really important. WPRI 12 ran this story a couple of nights ago, which is quite moving. Listen.
Cantor Dr. Brian Mayer, a religious leader through song, a doctor of theology. But the title that made me the most, being a father.
In Yiddish, nachis, it's a combination of parental joy and being proud of your kids, all wrapped up into one word.
Just 5 days before the war began, Cantor Mayer's sons, David and Jonah, were here celebrating the High Holy Days.
I'm so proud of them. I serve the Jewish people here in Providence and in the United States. They're serving the Jewish people there in our homeland.
Now the two in Israel, active and reserve soldiers for the Israeli army.
That day when they were leaving, my face was just covered with tears that I couldn't hold back.
Cantor Mayor says while neither are currently in harm's way, he worries and fears what the days to come might bring.
At 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up with a nightmare that one of my sons had been killed.
His emotion for the Jewish people, raw.
After the massacre a week ago Saturday, I didn't sleep for a couple of nights because it was just so disturbing.
His frustrations, real.
I'm upset and trying to remain calm.
But his message, clear.
And I'm sickened by Palestinians who are powerless, being run by a terrorist, I can't even call it a government, it's a gang.
Yeah, I called it regime and checked myself, right? It's something. Cantor, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And Wendy has been with us before on a couple of platforms. She's now the executive director of the Sandra Bornstein Holocaust Education Center. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate you coming in. How are you doing today?
Pretty much the same as I was doing yesterday and the day before. It's always there. It's always there.
When's the last time you heard from the boys?
This morning, I spoke with my older son, the one who's in reserves, who is waiting for his call up. He served for 2 years in military intelligence in a base on the Gaza border, one of the ones that was attacked. And his commanding officer has said to him, you can't come right now because it's not safe to travel from your home in Jerusalem down to Gaza unarmed. As a sergeant in the military intelligence, he was never issued a weapon. So he would be traveling in his uniform and not able to protect himself. So he's waiting.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, the intricacies of what has got to be put together with whatever pending offensive. It's funny, the news cycle is, you know, not today, not today, pending, not today, not today. The timeline is Israel's, and they'll do it when and if they're ready to do it. Just your take, Wendy, right now on what's going on before we kind of dig into the community's reaction and all that.
It's horrifying. I think emotions are raw. People, you know, I have friends in Israel. I don't have family. I can't even fathom what Cantor Mayor feels 24/7. Like you said, it never goes away. It's something I hear from Holocaust survivors a lot. It never goes away. And I am sure there are thousands of people, hundreds of thousands. This will never go away.
Well, look, you have common ground with military parents. I mean, whether I've got plenty of friends who have their kids. You know, my daughter's 28, and so there's her contemporaries. There are plenty of kids that I know who have gone to the military and are serving America well, and you know, go into dangerous places. And parents are up at night all the time, waiting for just a cell phone text to say, "Yeah, how things are going." Yet this is not going to be a normal operation, and yet this is not caused by any, I don't know, for lack of a better term, normal geopolitical flow. This is a whole different ballgame.
There was a massacre.
Simply said.
And this is not the failure of a military that lost ground in a battle. There was a failure of intelligence and surveillance, and there was a failure of the IDF to arrive on the scene, which is unconscionable. But they're responding to something they've never had to respond to before. Calling up 360,000 soldiers, you realize that's 5% of the Jewish population in Israel.
Right.
It's a huge operation, and again, unthinkable, they don't have enough equipment yet.
Yeah, so I mean, there's all sorts of aid and packaging that's going to be coming from nothing like, you know, we tell our guests, charge your phones and all that kind of stuff, and of course, do as I say, not as I do. You work in history. Your mission is to make sure people don't forget about the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. And the comparisons this last couple of weeks have been, I don't even know what the word is, riveting, compelling, tragic, all those things?
Yes, 1,000%, but we've seen parallels for many years now. This is amplified. You know, this is like on steroids. This is, you know, we had a meeting the other night, and one of our board members is a Holocaust survivor. And the emotions are just, it's, I think, unfathomable to people that have not been in an experience like this before. None of us have been in this experience. Like the Cantor said, you know, this is a massacre, what was a massacre, and a lot is unknown, and that's really scary.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about how things are being dealt with here on the ground, and the challenge of anti-Semitism, which was significant enough without this nightmare. Stay with us. Well, it doesn't surprise me that this project, Providence Temple seeking 70 grand to buy protective vests for Israeli soldiers, is being run by Cantor Mayor. It's a vested interest, all pun intended.
Yes.
Yes. I'm glad you can laugh. You got to be able to laugh, right, through this whole thing, right?
It feels good to smile.
Yeah,
Yes.
good. Tell me about that project.
My older son, who was the one we were speaking of before, who's now in the reserves, waiting for his call-up, is like most Israelis who are not in uniform, he wants to help. And so he found out through friends that he went through training with who are still in uniform that they are not equipped with ceramic bulletproof vests. Now, these are combat soldiers. These are Army engineers. They, in particular, are the first ones to go across enemy lines to scan the territory, find out where the tunnels are, and all of that. There are 85 soldiers in these 2 battalions, and only 10 of them have the proper vests. There's a bottleneck at the border. Vests are coming in through donations from abroad, but the IDF has to inspect every single one of them to make sure that they are up
loaded.
and to make sure that they're
Right.
up to their standards. So my son discovered a way to short circuit the distribution of these vests through a company in Israel who is getting a shipment this weekend and is taking special orders.
Gotcha. So help, because there's so much to talk about. Contact you at the temple to help with this?
Temple website.
Okay. We'll remind you about that at the end of the broadcast. I don't know what camera we're on here. To make sure that for those who would like to contribute to the cause can do so. You said something to me in the last segment that struck me, and it's been something that we've been talking about on the radio side pretty significantly, and that is that you can be completely horrified, and should be, about what has happened here. You can also feel that sense of post 9/11, I don't know, spirit de corps galvanization of thought and mission about Israel, and still be critical of what in God's name just happened over the last couple of weeks with a fall down in security and the like. Do you find this on the road, in the community, in discussions with fellow members of your organizations, the kind of same political discontent over Netanyahu's leadership, some of the distractions, he's literally, there's some very Trumpish parallels here in trying to keep himself out of judicial harm's way by changing the judiciary. The entire country has been politically in flames over the very thing. There are reservists, I wouldn't know what your son's thought on this is, who actually were thinking they wouldn't even serve if so, but then all of a sudden this thing is so heinous, so unbelievable, so from left field that it flips a switch. But there's still that thing now that is now parked for a later consideration, which is how in the hell did this happen? And how's this country going to be run? Meaning Israel, correct?
Yes, but I think it's parked.
It is parked.
Yeah.
It has to be parked.
Yeah. People are more concerned now here, at least like, how can we comfort and help people here? What can we do to support on a very, very local level? The families of people who have family in the IDF or family in Israel anywhere, and the people here that have lost people. There are people in our community that have lost people.
Sure. Did you feel a discourse, though? I mean, was there constant discourse going on about just the political debate that was going on in Israel prior to the attack?
Absolutely. There are myriad of opinions, and I know in my congregation, when I preach from the pulpit about it, I have to be very careful and choose my sources with a certain kind of openness, and not to reveal my personal opinions, but to try and get people to reckon with the material. Since the war started, that's all dried up.
Got it. What was a finesse project is now not so much, but you'll have to go back to it.
We will have to go back to it. I spoke to my cousins in Israel. They're in their 70s. He served in the 73 war, in the Yom Kippur War, in the Golan Heights. He was under fire. He knows exactly what this is like. Lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
It'll come back. Hang on.
You also expressed an empathy for Palestinians in that package. Thought?
I expressed empathy for the Palestinians because in my heart, I still hope and pray for a two-state solution. Netanyahu and his comrades have done their best to try and bury that hope. I believe that the Palestinians, the civilians, that they want the same thing that the Jews want, which is to be able to live, to be able to care for their families, to be able to do business across borders.
Complicating it is Hamas's charter is to rid the planet of Israel. Netanyahu's strategy has been actually to keep them at bay, but keep them there, because as long as they're creating some kind of level of trouble, the two-state solution doesn't work. There's a level of delicateness, I should say, delicateness and sophistication to this geopolitical battle that requires a lot of attention by people, doesn't it? There's so many nuances to this.
So the 2 million Palestinians who are stuck in Gaza, who are ruled by this
Thirsty and
vicious,
starving right now.
yes, this vicious terrorist gang who does not care for its own people an iota, proven by the fact that since 2007, when they took office, if you can call it that, they've been using their people as human shields. All of their military installations are in civilian buildings. In the West Bank, where things are quieter right now, you've got a corrupt Palestinian Authority there too. So I understand why the Israelis for the last 10, 15 years have wanted to just take care of themselves and keep the status quo as best they could. It's not working.
Yeah, it's not working. Neither is some of the attitude problems that we have across the globe and here in America and even our own community. We'll talk about that before we're downstairs. So we will put on the website at WPRI.com some of the more important information about helping with the cause with the vests at the temple, and Cantor can hopefully get some of your help that way. So at WPRI.com. By the way, just you should know that you can, and so many people do view this program online in addition to Fox, at midnight on Friday nights, and of course our audience after the 11:30 news on Channel 12. Wendy, I've talked about anti-Semitism. It's been
Too many
It was
times.
actually the basis of our getting to know each other a while back. This ain't helping.
No.
Give me a
There's
couple of minutes on
been,
what's going on.
I think a 300% rise locally in anti-Semitism since this started. I mean, it's been steadily rising, but this, like I said, this escalated everything. Like was mentioned before, there were flyers in Johnston. There have been bomb threats. There have been email bomb threats to different institutions, not only locally but all over the country. Brings out people. Somebody was caught last week who made a bomb threat to several of the temples in the area. Yeah, I think it gives people the impetus and the authority to say, okay, I'm going to do this. Most of it, thank God, is unfounded. We hope it stays that way. It's scary.
It's, you know, you hope it remains an infinitesimal portion of the population. What worries us, I think, is when, you know, when larger groups, including, you know, some elite colleges, have not only students but faculty suggesting that this was a step forward. It's just impossible. Look, I mean, the conflicts in the Middle East are so historic, and you are so much more informed on it than I am, that you could go on forever talking about and then, and then, and then, and because, and then, and then, and then, and because. But this is just, hopefully, the end of the line? I don't know. I only have about 45 seconds.
50 years after the Yom Kippur War, which was supposed to be the end of the line, Israel became a master at surveillance and security. I can't, for the life of me, figure out how they failed so miserably. I did listen to a podcast from the New York Times where they were saying that this again is going to force Israel to up its game.
Sure, up its game, but on, you know, on the streets of the Middle East and the free world, this anti-Semitic mindset has got to be tempered somehow, and I don't have a clue as to what the answer is, because I don't really understand. I understand, but I really don't understand the hatred to begin with. I'm still trying to figure out.
We're amping up our education as much as possible. We have we go out to schools, high schools, middle schools all the time with Holocaust survivors, children of survivors, and we do a program for teens of all faiths and backgrounds, and we will be talking about this with them next week.
All right, information on both organizations on the website at WPRI.com. Final word we can next. Unfortunately, you got to pay attention to the story to understand it. We'll talk to you next week.